This is an exclusive House of Ramirez and Dolo Darnell partnership.
Hey guys, this is House of Ramirez. Y'all already know what's up. I'm over here cooling it with my sister Mila. Mila, thank you so much for being on House of Ramirez. You know how we do. We get down, we put the spotlight on successful entrepreneurs, and sis, you are definitely one. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody listening, viewing this, and also reading this article. Tell us who Mila is and where you are from.
So I grew up in Michigan. I lived in Florida for a period of time. I was born in Colorado. My name is Mila. I go by my name Mila. So that's I'm an artist. That's what I do.
Yeah, nice. So, you know, art is a big way of bridging people together, you know, music, art, food, you know, and it definitely brings joy to our hearts to just see a piece that moves us. It moves us really. So the expressions and the efforts that you put into an art piece, it gives us a piece of life. It gives us a piece to move off of, to be inspired, to continue our journey in life, but take part of that and move along with it. You know, it gives us an extra push. So I want to thank you for that. Art is very dear to me. Art runs in my family, and it's something that I don't take very lightly. That's very important. And it should be important to everybody's life. You know, art is, it's like a, how would I say? It's like a prop for our eyes. Like, you know, just like we have food orgasms. We're like, oh, this food is amazing. Our eyes are like, yo, you know, and I just love it. I appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So how did you get into art? Like, what was that pivotal moment where you were like, this is what I like to do and this is what I'm doing?
Well, I feel like for creatives, I don't, you know, it's kind of like one of those things that you're born loving to do that. Like you know, if it's music, then you want to go play an instrument or you want to sing or whatever. And for me, when I was younger, I just wanted to draw. Like I would just draw anything or nothing. I would do like little doodles and then I'd be like, oh, what can I turn this into? And I used to spend hours in my parents' basement drawing. I would just go down there in the dungeon and draw. But that was actually another way that me and my father bonded because he really likes art as well. So he taught me how to draw. And then my parents just continued to like nurture that skill as I got older, like putting me in Saturday school programs and different things like that. So when I got older, I stepped away from it for a while because in high school, I just wasn't interested. Like I wanted to go to parties and, you know, be like doing all types of things, right? Super social. So then when I moved to Miami and there was like a hurricane and we were out of work for like 2 weeks because stuff just gets shut down, yada, yada, yada. And I started messaging people on Snapchat, like, oh, if I draw you, will you like cash at me? Like just to see what would happen, you know? Like if people would tip me for like little cartoons of themselves. And I had people do it. And then I had some girl like, oh, if I buy you canvas, will you like paint my dog? And I was like, oh, sure, whatever. So she like bought all the supplies and I painted a picture of her dog. And then that kind of like spiraled into like more of a hobby that I just hadn't done for a while. And then the second time I went overseas, I was there for 3 months and I was like, well, I'm not gonna be working. I'm not gonna have anything to do, you know? So I just figured I would get an art studio while I was there. And I didn't expect it to be as impactful as it was, but I went and there's like this warehouse with like 200 plus artists, they're all world renowned, and they do it full time. So when I came back home, I was like, oh, you know, people are always like, oh, struggling artist is, and I'm like, that's not like actually a thing. You struggle at things that you don't try hard enough at. So whatever. Yeah. Now I'm in this life. It's been this will be like my 3 year in the summertime. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, and your parents knew what they were doing. You know, they saw the light in you and they just helped you. And that's what it's all about. You know, we can't always just think about ourselves. We got to think about the little people too. They're people too. And they're our next generation. They will carry that torch for us when we, you know, we get older and we go away essentially. But yeah, so I love the fact that your parents supported you and they were fully active into what it is that it now is a passion. You know, it started as a hobby, as you mentioned, but now it's a passion. You know, you're doing it full time, you're doing your thing. I was just like, yo, because you have your own studio now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed. I was just like, winning, sister, winning. That's big though. That's big, you know. And like you mentioned, if you're struggling, it just means you're not going hard enough. I mean, let that be a message to everybody listening right now and seeing this and reading this. If you're struggling in what it is that you like to do, you're not going hard enough. Because if you love it, you go hard enough where you will make this a living and it will not be a problem to you. Nothing can stand in your way. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It's a purpose. It's not something you wake up to do and clock in and clock out. It's a purpose. You wake up every morning refreshed, rejuvenated, thankful, happy. And yes, it's entrepreneurship does comes with challenges. I will admit that, but you wake up happy that this is what you're doing. So big kudos to you, sis.
It's definitely work. Even some days, I was in the studio last night until like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, and I woke up at today, and I was like, it's 7, and I don't want to get up, like I want to lay in bed, and then I realized that I have to like print out certificates because after I get done with this, I have a client coming to meet me. But again, I could be waking up at 7 like to go to a job that I fucking hate for a boss that doesn't like know shit about me. So yeah, no, I'm super thankful for this.
Yes, yes, yes. And we see you, we applaud you, and you know, we keep telling you to keep it up. You know, we see you and every piece of art that you have, we can definitely go onto your website or contact you for a piece if we're interested, correct?
Yeah, I wish that there was like a better place to like put the phone because the pieces that I did this last month are quite large. So like I can kind of like there's these two here, the Trayvon Martin and Breonna Taylor, but they're big.
Oh,
I wonder if I can just my
yeah,
studio's
yeah.
I wonder
Just
if
give
I
us a
can
mini tour. Woo, woo.
put it all the way back here and see if you can like get a view.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
And those were like the practice pieces.
So if we're interested in you know collecting your art and wanting to purchase an art piece, because they're all phenomenal, they're all beautiful, and they're unique, right? So where can we go to contact you to purchase a piece?
So if you want one of the pieces that's already done, you can go to my website. That's mindofmila.com. Or I'm trying to get out of the habit of people like DMing me because I get, like now you get DMs, like everybody's reaction on social media. DMs are a mess. So you can go to my Instagram though, and there should be like a contact for email and shoot me an email if there's something like specific. A lot of times I have people reach out to me and they like the way that I paint, but they like want something for a family member or they have something specific in mind. So I do that as well. But yeah.
Nice,
So,
nice.
And on social media, I'm Mind of Mila as well. Like it's Mind of Mila across the board.
And that's ideal. That's what I tell everyone when I'm helping with marketing. I'm like, it has to be that same brand name all across the board. There can't be anything other. There has to be that. So everyone knows who you are on all types of avenues of media. So I want to give you big kudos to that. Guys, if y'all are seeing, hearing, or reading this, definitely hit her up in her email. Forget the DM, hit her up in her email and let her know exactly what it is that you need from her, whether it's a specific piece or if it's a piece that she's already created. Just email her. She's very open and she's very talented. So yeah, just go ahead and contact her. So I want to ask you, with everything that you have experienced with art and everything, I want to applaud you for that too, because you took that chance, that leap of faith. We all do as entrepreneurs, we bet on ourselves. So when you bet on yourself, you start this path of entrepreneurship, feeding knowledge, feeding positivity, feeding all these great good stuff into yourself to keep moving forward. And you learn, right? So coming from your path, from, your walk of life, we all live life the similar way. We are born, we live life, and then we die. And then we have similar steps along the way, but we walk in different paths. So walking on your path, how or what pieces of advice, how would you advise our young successful entrepreneurs? What would you tell them? And I'm listening too, so I'm open for a piece of advice always. So what would you advise us as young successful entrepreneurs?
I feel like one of my favorite things that I ever heard, which was like to articulate how I felt about things, is like to fail forward. Um, a lot of times I have friends that will tell me they want to try something and are, oh man, Mila, like I wish I could do this. And it's like, you can. I'm not afraid to fail. So there's a lot of stuff that I just do. And I'm like, hey, want to buy a house? Let's buy a house. How do you buy a house? I don't know. I'm going to pretend that I know how to do this. And then I'm going to figure out, oh, I need insurance. Oh, I have to pay property tax. Like, oh, good. Okay, I didn't plan for that. But like, we just figure it out as we go. And then maybe it won't work out, right? Maybe the first time I try something, it's not going to work, but now I have that experience. And whether I choose to reapply it to the same craft or I apply it in a different way to something that I want to try further down the line, I have that experience. And I also have that confidence to be like, I know what it looks like when it's going downhill. So I think that a lot of people just don't get started, right? Sometimes that's the hardest part, is just doing. So yeah, that's definitely like one piece of advice for sure.
Yeah, most def. And that's true, and I would like to say that when you jump into entrepreneurship, there's no, how would I say, there's no blueprint, because everybody adventures into that differently. And there's no book, there's no guide, there's no entrepreneurship for dummies. I'm pretty sure there is a book that's called that,
Yeah.
but it's going to be different for everybody, And like you said, you can't be scared to fail. Failing is an opportunity for you to learn something. So it ends up being a good thing. So the way you see things in life, it has to be in a positive light. Even when it sucks sometimes, you have to see things in a positive light to learn something. Like you mentioned, you learn something. And then when you go back into that same path that you're trying to go down on, for example, buying a house, you already know what not to do, and you're learning. So, like you said, what failing feels like in that aspect. So then you already know that that's not what I'm doing. I'm going over here. So you know how to move around certain obstacles based off of, situations that you've had to learn from. So yeah, and it's only going to refine your art. We're speaking of art, but it's only going to refine who you are and your niche, the thing that you love to do, your product, your service, whatever it is, it's going to refine you into an elevated state, into another position. There's levels to success. So yeah, I just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. I do have an art piece of yours. My mom's like, you got to put it in a frame. I was like, shout out my sister.
Oh yeah, you gotta frame it.
Yes.
I've just now gotten into really like framing the canvas pieces, and I love it. It's so nice.
Yeah, so I have this piece, and I have maybe like 4 times bigger than this piece coming in the mail from another sister, and I'm going to put it on this wall right here. So then eventually I would tilt my desk this way so you can see all my art pieces. I love art, but my mom's like, you definitely have to put it in a frame, and I'm like, I will. But yeah, most def. I appreciate you and everything that you are doing. When I see a sister thriving in what they're doing, it gives me like that push. Sometimes we do have slow days and we're like, like not today, you like get back in the covers, and it's just like, well, my sisters are doing it. Why am I stopping? Like, I'm not lazy. They're not lazy. Hell no, I can't, I can't turn down this tribe energy. Like, no, keep going.
Yeah, no, that's why it's so important who you surround yourself with, because you don't want the people that are like, you know what, yeah, like come today, just take a day off. Of course, like you need like some girlfriends like that every once in a while, it's like, yeah, I work 365 days, so like maybe I should have one day off. But the people that like want you to chill all the time are like, oh no, it's okay, like it's cool, you didn't do that, like it's good, nobody's doing that. Like, I don't want to be like nobody. It's gonna be very different. So
Yes, I would agree there, and it's okay to associate with other sisters and friends, but you have to focus on what it is that you want to do. And your business essentially feeds you, pays the bills, and takes care of other things. And you can help out too, So yeah, it falls into being around the same realm of like-minded individuals to excel. and not just take from them, but also give back, you know, because there's things that you might know that I don't know. And there's things that I might know that you don't know. But as long as we're sharing and we're encouraging and we're supporting each other, we're going to be all right, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So there's something that I heard like years back, and it was talking about like this, like splitting up your time in threes and like spending, it was more so like age wise, but I kind of apply it to like experience wise as well, and saying that you should spend a third amount of your time with people that are at the same level as you or same age as you or whatever, and a third with people that are either like below you in skill level or younger than you because you're teaching, right? So you're teaching what you're learning, or vice versa. You can still learn from younger people, but then also like a third of your time with somebody older and more experienced, so that you're getting, you know. So I was like, oh yeah, that's good.
Yo, I'm going to pick that up. I mean, we do it naturally, you know. So we do it naturally. We hang out with our elders, and then, you know, if we have kids, I have children. So if I have kids, I'll be around them and their children, you know, my friends' children. And, you know, I get that. And even younger ones that are not that far off from my age, I'm 30. So somebody that's in mid 20s, early 20s, if that's something that they want to learn and they have questions, then, you know, drop some gems. It doesn't hurt you, because guess what? People drop gems on you as you were growing up. And then people that are like-minded in the same age bracket, it just keeps you in that groove of, yeah, it's okay. There's other people struggling too. There's other people taking on challenges to become a better person, to become a better business. And it, like you said, it keeps you kind of like leveled. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to go ahead and spread that love to everybody. I'm going to be like, yo, my sister just gave us this tip. It's true. You have to be able to give time, to drop gems, focus on what you're doing, and also learning. So yeah, it's a cycle. Yeah. Well,
for sure.
I want to go ahead and give you the platform. You know, the spotlight's on you right now, and I appreciate everything you're doing, but you know, we tend to do this by ourselves, but then we have a tribe that's supporting us, right? So the spotlight's on you right now. I always do a House of Ramirez shout out. So you could put the spotlight on people that have been in your corner, that have been pushing you to become the greatness that you are today. So who's your House of Ramirez shout out? I want to know who you shouting out.
Oh gosh, man, there's like so many women that, like how you said, I have like a little tribe going. For sure, one of my best girlfriends, Lauren Cumberbatch, she owns Skin Studio 211 that's here in Michigan. We actually both relocated back to Michigan at the beginning of COVID last year. So she was in New York and she came back and couldn't go back to New York because everything was shut down. She's like, oh, maybe I should open like a salon or a studio here. And I was like, do it. In the middle of COVID, like you're not even supposed to see people, but fuck it, do it. And she did it, and she ended up being like one of the most well-known spas here. So that's really good. There's another girl named Jerusha who lives in Florida. She's like this social media marketing wizard. She's also like, all of us are like under 30 and just, I don't know, killing it, like trying it, and then also trying to kill it. But yeah, I think those two make me really happy with what they do, and they've poured a lot of good energy into me as well.
Yeah, most def. And you know, that's what's important. We take into consideration who's there for us, and also, you know, just rock with them, vibe with them. And like I tell people all the time, even if we're doing the same thing, we're not competition. When you go down the bread aisle, there's tons of different types of breads. And at the end of the day, we all walk out the aisle with a piece of bread, and it could be different name brands. And even when we're doing different things, we can still support and encourage one another and pour into each other. So it's just amazing to see that you have a sister tribe. I'm so proud of you. What you're doing is really moving. You know, it's inspiring. It moves us. We take from your art and feel. And if you have a product or a service that allows us to feel something and feel greater about ourselves, you're doing the right thing. If you see a piece of art and you're like, oh, next, you know, and you're like, oh, my grocery list, they weren't doing the right thing. You put the expression, that feeling into your art, and we feel it. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, most def. So I'm going to go ahead and end the interview. This is not the only time you're going to be on my show. Whenever you have something new, an art exhibit or anything that you have going on, you hit me up. Either I pop up or we bring you back onto the show. I'm just very proud of you. You have a sister here. And thank you for your time. I know you're busy today, so thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yes. All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Make sure to follow House of Ramirez on all social media platforms.